I'm going to show you guys how to make this part. So let's get started. In Fusion 360, we're going to select a new project, and I'm going to click on Design. So this is going to be our workspace. Alright, up here is going to be our viewport. Okay, this doesn't really show us much here right now, so we're going to get used to playing around with this as we go along. And you can click and drag this box as you go. I am going to switch my units to inches. I'm going to click OK, and I want to try and set this up so that I'm looking top down. So I'm going to click on this box here, or this cube. So I'm going to click on Create Sketch, and I'll select this plane. Now I have this origin point here, and I can choose to do a 2-point rectangle. That is another option. We'll be covering that shortly when we go to create our pocket. Now I can create a center rectangle if I click on this point and drag it out. Now, without clicking or anything, it's still anchored to my mouse. I have my dialog highlighted for one of the measurements. I'm going to select 4.5, and if I press Tab, I can type in 3.5 over here. Now you can see that there's a lock on the side of them, so now that they're constrained, we can press Enter. And when we have a black line, this means that everything is constrained. There aren't any uncertain locations for any of the points. So I'll click Finish Sketch, and I can click on Extrude. You can also press the E button. So let's click on that, and I'm going to move this up to point 375. I want to create a floor. Now if I made a mistake, I can right-click on this feature, go to Edit Feature, and change anything that I want. Whether that's a thin extrude, which would mean it gives you like a container or a tray. But I want a solid item here, and I don't want any taper. I just want to go up one distance. So this would be considered a new body. Now, I'm going to only make one part, so this will be fine. But if you're putting multiple parts together, you might want to right-click and do a new component for each part that would be in this drawing. Now, I'm only making one part, so I'm not going to add a new component. If I go to my top view, I'm going to create a sketch, and I'll select this top face. Now, this is different than selecting any of these other faces. This is your drawing plane. So previously I did this orange square here. So I'm just going to click on that face. So that allows me to draw right over top of my box. So I'm going to click on 2-point rectangle. I'll select this corner, see how that snaps to it. And then I'm going to click on this snap to point as well. Next thing I want to do is go to Offset. I want to offset this by 3/8 of an inch. Give it a wall. Now I'll click Accept, and then I want to extrude by pressing E on the keyboard or clicking up here. And I want to bring this up about 1 inch. So now if I press my mouse wheel in the middle, this allows me to orbit around the part. We can also pull on this cube. The next thing I want to do is set up a hole. So I'm going to click on this inside face yet again. That'll be my sketch plane. And I want to draw a circle, and we'll call it 1.25. Now this allows me to extrude. Let's go up 1 inch, and I now have a boss inside of a pocket. I'm going to throw on a point. Okay, so if you look down this drop down here under Create, you can find different features. Now some of these features change when you go into Create Sketch. Same thing with your Modify. So I'm going to click on this Create Sketch, and now my options change. I'm going to create a point. I want to set this point right at the origin. So I'm going to finish my sketch. Oh, it didn't take. So let's go back, edit the sketch. Looks like my gnomon was in the way. Point. And you see that subtle blue circle or square? I want to just add a point. Okay, looks like we got an extra one, so you just highlight that and delete. I'm going to finish the sketch. And I want to create a hole here. Now I need that point so that I can specify my hole location. I'm going to create a counter bore and a tapped hole. And I'm not too concerned about the flat or angled tip. That will all go through the bottom of the part afterwards. So my counter bore width, well, I want a 5/8 11 thread, 5/8 11 UNC 2B, which would be a general purpose thread, right-handed. I don't have to pick modeled. That sometimes complicates things. It might be easier to just do without, but you can have it actually generate the geometry inside of your part. Now I'm going to leave it off, and I'm going to specify my counter bore width. Now, a rule of thumb is approximately 1.5 times this diameter. So if I go 0.625 times 1.5, oops, go back, that gives me the diameter that I require for a socket head cap screw. Now my depth is generally this same height. So 0.625, but I want to add, say, 5 thou. Okay. My depth is not really concerning because we've specified our height for our counter bore. Now I just need to have this counter bore go all the way through, or this thread go all the way through. So I can just pull on this arrow and that changes that length. As long as I get the pointed section fully outside of the hole, otherwise we may have a hole that's not fully drilled through, so I want to have it extend a little beyond. I'll click OK to confirm and zoom out, and there we go. I want to put some fillets on, so some rads and some chamfers. So I'm going to click on this fillet button. You can also press F, and I can select this, and you can even select through the part to the inside line as well, instead of having to orbit all the way around. Now, I want to select this at 0.25. And I can also, if I wanted to create another operation, I'll do an add, and I'll do another set of chamfers on this outside, and I can bring these in, making whichever chamfer I want. So I'm going to go with 1/2 inch. Click OK. And this is the start of our part. Now let's put on some chamfers here. If I go down to Modify, I have this option to do a chamfer. Now chamfer just breaks the edge, makes things look real nice. I'm going to select this outer edge and this inner edge. And we'll say 50 thou. I will also select this plus sign, and I want to change this to 60 thou, as well as, and if you missed an edge, you could hold down the Control key and then select that additional edge. My last selection is going to be this inner edge, and that will be 30 thou. And it looks like we're good with how this is supposed to look. So if you wanted to change your materials or anything like that, you can always go to your bodies, and if you right click, you can go to Appearance. Let's say I wanted to have some plastic. If I wanted ABS white, maybe I wanted to, it's not showing me the color that I want, but I can double click on that and change my color. Let's go to a nice tealy blue. And you can change the name here. I'll just delete that for now and click Done, and then we just drag it onto the part. And if you'd like, you can orbit the part around and play around with these other features until we come back for the machining process. Thanks for watching.